Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. I got Felicia Cravens on. She's with the Houston Tea Party Society. She's a blogger for USDailyReview.com and many other websites, and all around hiree for renter riots wherever a riot needs to take place. But seriously, she does great stuff. This week, rioting at the IRS, I hear, and I saw your picture all over Facebook of with your sign protesting over there at the IRS offices. What is up with that? I wish I'd give you, these flash riots that they're calling for. They're not flash riots; they're called flash protests. But I'm in the media, so I like to exaggerate. But these flash, they can at least give you like 24 hours notice. It seems like they're like 12 hours in their notice. And for those of us who have jobs, it's like, really? How am I supposed to get there at that time? It's ridiculous.
Oh, I know, but what's interesting, I looked at all the pictures, not just of our Houston area rallies, but at the ones in Cincinnati and at the ones in San Bernardino, in Orlando, in D.C.
You mean in places where unemployment is much higher?
Right. Hundreds and hundreds of people were out with signs, and all of the signs had to do strictly with the IRS and everything. It was amazing. You could walk down the line and talk to people and just hear everybody able to articulate what the problem was. This is a scandal everyone understands.
Yeah.
But no matter where you are on the spectrum.
And it's interesting because when the media has these hearings on Congress and, showing these hearings on Congress, some of the strongest tongue lashing is coming from Democrats. They're like, what the heck? And I think the reason why is they know that this can cut both ways. If you got a Republican in the White House with the same ethics of a Barack Obama, thinking in terms of Richard Nixon, for example, this can cut both ways.
Oh, indeed, and you would think that 40 years is not too long of a memory to have about Watergate, about an enemies list or something like this. Ever since then, we've been joking about it with different presidents, but this one, it's out there, it's on. It's reported. It's proof that we've got people targeted by this administration, and whether the president knew about it or if people decided to keep it from him, it doesn't matter. You are the executive. You are the one in charge. In any company, a CEO would not be able to get away with the excuses, well, I learned about it when you did.
Yeah.
There's no way.
No way. My theory is that... My theory is this is actually being orchestrated out of the White House itself, but that's just my theory. I haven't been able to prove that yet. Sigmund has an opinion.
Okay, I just got to throw this in here. The first time he ran for election, he ran on a platform of two words: hope and change, right?
Yes.
Right.
It's good to know that he's still running on a platform or executing a platform with two words: plausible deniability.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's interesting, because his overall theme of his campaign was transparency. I plan on being the most transparent president ever. It echoed Bill Clinton's, I'm going to be the most ethical president ever. I don't know if you remember him saying that. It echoed that. It's like, ew, this is when he was running, it was like, great, well, I guarantee you, he's not going to be transparent, And sure enough, this guy is like evil, sinister, I'd like to say genius, but I don't want to overplay his hand.
Well, let's talk about most transparent. Maybe that just means we can see through him now.
Touche. That may actually be true now. He's pretty come out in full blown in terms of what he's like, what his intentions are. So, all right, I don't want to beat up on the Tea Party because there's plenty of other journalists that are willing to do that. But when did you first hear that we were doing these demonstrations this week?
Oh, a couple of days before, yes. I did not organize them. This came down as a request from a national organization, and people locally picked up on that and decided to create events. I'd learned about it through social media.
Sure. Your answer's too long because I have other follow-up questions that I don't want anyone to forget my first question to you. So what day do you think that was that came out?
What day?
They said this was coming?
Probably early the weekend before.
So it did happen on the weekend before,
right?
Yeah. Now, if you were in charge, if you were in charge and you made the request on the weekend before, and you were in charge, and what happened on Monday in Moore, Oklahoma, happened, what would you have done?
Oh, would have been canceled immediately.
It would have been
Absolutely.
canceled immediately. And so you sit there and you go, man, you know what? I mean, I'm glad the Tea Party's there. I consider myself a great fan and friend of the Tea Party. Even have spoken at several of their events, not only here, but around the state. And I sit there and I look at that and it's like, man, you know what? When they say they're boneheads, I kind of look at that and go, maybe there's a little bit of bonehead there.
That is one of the hazards of using social media to plan events, is that you don't have the opportunity to move as quickly in canceling something as you do in setting something up. And I will say, though, that the very first Tea Parties in 2009, not the tax day rallies, but the ones prior to that, the original ones in February, were set up in 6 days. That's all the notice we had.
Wow.
And we did it. And there were, 50,000 people across the nation protesting at those, simultaneously around the country. Now, if we had to stop one, we were organized well enough to where we had conference calls daily in that 6-day period where we were discussing tactics and insurance and all the things that we would need to know. And you do want to be able to have quick maneuverability in politics. The left excels at flash mobbery, and the right needs to pick up some cues from that, even though we have jobs, even though this was Tuesday at noon. But that said, once the Moore, Oklahoma tornado had gone through, that should have been the moment, I think, where things were halted and said, instead of doing that, in lieu of doing that, let's do something for the people of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And they probably would have if this had been, a much more tightly controlled thing. What happened is a post goes up calling for people to do this, and then it's not monitored, and that's how things go.
Yeah, the left is much more effective in terms of handling their troops because they're all mindless clones that, march at lockstep as their dictators tell them to march. And so us more liberty-minded people, we're just like herding cats, just like, meow. But, I don't think anyone interpreted our protests as inconsiderate to what happened in Moore, but it was just completely blacked out. I mean, I've been watching the news, including the lamestream news, more than I normally do, just to kind of keep track of what's happening in Moore. Maybe that's morbid curiosity, I don't know. But I've been watching, and I didn't see any stories at all about the protests. I didn't see anything. Did you see any national news stories on it? I'll let you answer that question right after the break because Sigmund's having a heart attack because I'm going longer than I'm supposed to go. We're going to continue our conversation with Felicia Cravens. She is a rock star in the conservative movement. If you go to usdailyreview.com, put in Felicia, she pops up all over there. I'm Kevin Price. You're listening to The Price of Business.